So, welcome to the Treasury Elite Entrepreneurship Series. I would like to thank all our viewers and members for supporting this noble cause of Treasury Elite, whose main objective is networking, knowledge sharing, and mentoring. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Abhishek Goenka, founder and CEO of IFA Global and Treasury Elite. We bring in one-stop treasury and FX solutions for companies across India over the last 16 years. And today we have Mr. Prashant Pitti, co-founder EaseMyTrip. Well, Prashant is a BTech from IIT Madras, and he's worked in the US with companies like HSBC in the past. Under his surveillance, EaseMyTrip has created a niche for itself. Prashant firmly believes that technology, qualified manpower, and advanced management team can lead any company towards the peak of success. Welcome, Prashant. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much, Abhishek, for having me on the show. Doing all right.
Glad to have you today as a part of the Treasury Elite Entrepreneurship Series. In the next few minutes, would love to learn from your experiences.
Looking forward to that.
So, Prashant, my first question to you, and I ask this question to all the founders and leaders whom I interact with, is that I think one common thread which I could, link with a lot of global leaders, CEOs, is that they are just not doing this for the money. You have been running this over 13 years, if I'm not mistaken, profitable. Now you have an IPO, which was an offer for sale. What keeps you excited every morning to get to work? Or if I may ask, what is your why?
Well, Abhishek, to be honest, ask anybody in this world what their hobbies are, what their passion is. And in their top 5 hobbies, I can almost guarantee 90% people will include travel as their hobby.
Travel, yeah.
Yeah. So it's something which is extremely close to people. It's extremely close to their heart. And we are over here to just ease that process. And that is exactly what our journey was when we started. We took that as a challenge for ourselves, that we would help people ease their journey and make one of their life dream come true, which is to travel extensively. And this is exactly what the why is, just to serve our consumers to the utmost value. In fact, I firmly believe that there are only 2 reasons one should do business. One is to serve your customers absolutely well. And second, to generate profit so you can continuously serve them over a long period of time.
Correct.
But one thing which I'm seeing is that in the current internet era, a lot of founders are extremely dependent on VC money. Now, VC money is a great money. VC money, funding, PE money is a great money to solve your teething problems. But you should not mix that as a part of your P&L. You should not assume that as a part of your P&L. And so we must do right with the consumers, but not at the cost of loss making. Because it's, to be honest, it's so easy. If you start giving people 100 rupees, if they give you 90 rupees, then getting people to buy from you is not a big problem. Then there'll be a queue in front of you. The real challenge is that you're asking people premium of 1 rupee because you're serving them well. That is where the real business lies in. And that is exactly what is our why. We want to continuously evolve ourselves. We want to continuously grow and change along with the times. See, the times themselves are changing so rapidly, so dramatically, that you have to be abreast of the situation right now. But the core why is to be able to serve consumers and make this hobby of theirs, this big passion of theirs, travel, to make them happen that with a little bit of ease as we can have.
No, I can just simply say this, Prashant, that it's a very easy mission and done in a profitable way with full of passion and energy by all the 3 co-founders. I think you all have been doing a great job. And I think doing it in the right way. And that brings me to the next question. In fact, you touched a very important point on the VC money. So Prashant, my question to you is, you people were never VC backed. You are broadly bootstrapped, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
And what did you do to remain profitable, unlike your peers? And if I'm not mistaken, I think when you came up with an IPO, you guys had 200 crores as cash in the balance sheet,
That is absolutely correct.
right? So, what message would you like to give to companies and promoters who feel like raising cash or money from these VCs or from these private equity guys is like 75% of the battle won? What message would you like to give them?
I would say that it gives you 10 to 15% advantage. There's nothing wrong denying that particular part. If you have capital raised on the basis of your equity, then the experimentation becomes slightly cheaper to you. Experimentation was slightly expensive for us. We must not fail in our experimentations as often as a VC backed company can, because just of the abundance of the money, right? But by having this constraint also makes you think harder. Just because you have too much money. That is why we probably ended up wasting less time.
Correct.
Because of this constraint, before doing any experiment, before trying something new, we had to think doubly hard than our competition.
Correct.
Now, that also became an advantage, because in this internet world, the real currency is not money. The real currency is time. And you end up wasting a lot of time by running experiments which might not be worthwhile otherwise.
Correct.
So for us, I think we were able to channel our shortcomings into our opportunities, into our strength, by utilizing that challenge properly. Every time we are experimenting something new, it is backed by a very serious research, and we spend a lot of time deliberating about it, or whether it should be done and in which way it should be done, to see the outcome is coming on the right side. So that is basically one very important factor. And I wish even the VC-backed companies to start thinking in that direction. Just because you have capital does not mean you should use it. I understand how this game plays. You raise money to burn it in a year and a half so that you can raise more. But then it's absolutely an entrepreneur's call that they may take a good amount of money as a Series A and then never raise it afterwards, right?
Correct.
Then go for an IPO, prove your value over there. Why do you have to keep raising money to prove your value? So that is one thing where I think a lot of entrepreneurs can do better. There is nothing wrong in taking VC money. I again reiterate, there's nothing wrong in doing that. It's a great money to solve your teething problems. We were able to avoid it by just experimenting it very properly.
So Prashant, very, very valid point. And I think as a company, even when we started 16 years back, we were all bootstrapped. Until now we are. And as you rightly said, if you burn 1 crore, 2 crore, 5 crore, then typically you have to be very, very careful that why are you burning and what are you doing? And that becomes the culture of the company also. And my next question to you is that what is the biggest risk that you have taken in your entrepreneurial journey? And how do you feel about it now? And I'm sure in the last few years in the journey, there were times when you had self-doubt, regret, a sense of failure.
Part and parcel of entrepreneurship, you have so many self-doubt moments all the time. For one decision or the other, you have the self-doubt. So it's going to be completely inappropriate to say that there were not many. There were tons of them. One of the biggest risks which this company took was actually in April 2020. And just post the lockdown, lockdown was enacted upon, and people were asking for refund. Now airlines did not give refund. Okay, airlines were holding on to the refund, and they gave refund in our wallet, not real cash, but in our wallet. Okay, and saying that whenever future bookings will happen, you can use that money for the future booking. Okay. So that's not the hard cash, right? And customers were wanting for the hard cash.
Right.
Now we took the call that we will deplete our 200 odd crore reserve by 110 crores and give refund to customers even before airline gave us the money.
Super.
So this was the beginning of April, I believe, April, 10, 15th of April. We decided that we will give people refund in their bank account, whether airline has given us or not. Now, this was a very, very gutsy decision which we took because at that time we didn't know whether the airline will survive or not. Right?
Correct.
Imagine if airline had collapsed. Now, the entire 110 crores would have been lost by us. Right?
Correct.
So it was a very gutsy decision, well calculated, knowing that hey, even if the business starts after 3 months, most of the airlines are going to survive it. But still, it was very ballsy for us to take that decision. And we gave people money in their bank account in the month of April itself. When everybody else, all our competitors were holding on to that money because they did not get real money from the airlines. Now, this created humongous amount of uproar on the Twitter. We got humongous amount of goodwill by this gesture where people were tagging our competitors saying that, hey, my friend got money back from the EaseMyTrip, where is my money? Now, people didn't know that we were going above and beyond while doing it, right? But created humongous amount of goodwill, and that has helped us in the journey to become the second largest player. In fact, we were the third largest player at that time. And just after taking this decision, we became the second largest player. We outgrew another competitor at that time.
That's phenomenal, Prashant. Excellent. Lovely. So, Prashant, any specific instance apart from this, what you remember, which probably could be a takeaway for the viewers, apart from what happened in 2020?
There have been so many incidents, which happened in 2020. One of them, which was also a challenge, but it turned out to be a great opportunity and strength for the company. Again, during the time when the lockdown was enacted upon, we started getting so we were getting 8,000 calls a day prior to that. But because of the lockdown, everybody wanted to call and understand what's happening with their refund status, right? So the call volume went up to 30,000 calls a day from 8,000. It shot up crazily. And nobody was there to pick the calls, right? Because of the lockdown. Nobody was picking calls. Not just us, Yatra, ClearTrip, MakeMyTrip, Indigo, nobody was able to pick call at that time.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge which we were seeing, and we thought that let's make the most out of it. So we worked overnight, and we integrated WhatsApp with our mid office. So we have a mid office called as Easy Office, okay, where our agents use Easy Office to interact with our consumers via email, via calls, okay. So we quickly integrated WhatsApp with our Easy Office, and this is exactly what the solution was at that time. Anybody who would call EaseMyTrip, his phone would automatically get disconnected, and an automatic WhatsApp message will go to that same number saying that, hey, we cannot pick your call right now, but you can chat with us. And whatever message he would write, my agent who's sitting at home will be able to read it on the Easy Office panel and will be able to reply to it. So this innovation, allowed us to be available 24/7 to our consumers. And even right now, almost 35% of all our queries are solved on WhatsApp. Now, the beautiful part of this solution is it's a great customer delight. Like, why would you want to be on hold for half an hour when you can just drop a message on WhatsApp, right? That's number one. And number two, we were able to cut our operations and call center team dramatically. Earlier, one agent was speaking to one customer, but now one agent is chatting with 8 customers simultaneously. So this was another thing which happened in the year 2020, which allowed our company to become much more efficient, and yet also be very well available to the consumers.
How much component of the manpower cost could you save by doing this?
We were able to save 80 people team. We were able to reduce our team by 80 people. From earlier, we had around 210, and now we have 130. So we were able to reduce 80 manpower. In fact, almost 1/3 of our, more than 1/3, in fact, of our call center.
So that's like 4.5-5 crores on an average yearly, you could say.
Probably. I haven't counted that, but probably more than that.
Awesome.
But more than that, it's a great customer delight.
Correct.
It's a great customer delight. Yeah, it's a great customer delight.
No, I remember my wife calling one of the agencies, to get all the refunds. My office guys were calling. It was a nightmare at that time. So, Prashant, you are in the industry, and you people must be thinking the next big thing,
Yeah, all the time.
Industry has changed
Mhm.
in a very, very different way in the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Mhm.
Hotels, Airbnbs, things have changed.
Correct.
So how do you see this industry, travel and tourism, shaping in the next 5 years or say 7 years?
I have many
And
hypotheses and I'm
yeah,
willing to share.
sure. And
Uh,
what disruption are you seeing? Big disruption.
so I am seeing humongous amount of disruption coming in travel space, and we are also taking some bets on those disruption. Okay, so industry is going to change rapidly. It's going to change tremendously fast, and I have a theory that the startups which are making people lazy are the ones who grow.
Are the
Whatever
ones?
helps,
Are the ones?
the ones who help people become lazy
Hmm.
are the ones who grow.
Correct. Netflix.
So anything which makes people more lazier,
Yeah.
according to me, people, it's not that how, if you're going to sell it cheaper, it's not if you're going to save time. For me,
Spoon feed.
anything which makes life easier and make people lazy, those are the startups which are going to succeed in world. All
Correct.
right. So that's my hypothesis. And on the basis of that, I have few bets which we are taking in travel industry. So bet number one, I think they're going to be flying taxis. The taxis which are going to come right at the top of your terrace, you're going to get on that flying taxi, go to the airport, and then take the flight. Or if it's a nearby city, then go directly to that city using the flying taxis. I think, getting down and waiting for your Olas or Ubers and spending time in your car, spending 1 hour instead, if you could do it in 5 minutes, will save you a lot of time, and you can be lazy for the 55 minutes which you were not earlier. So that's one hypothesis I have, and there's a company which is building something like this, and we are extremely looking forward to participate in that. Right.
Interesting.
So that's one hypothesis I have. Second, I think what happens right now. Let's say you travel from Delhi to Bangalore, but your final stop is not Bangalore. Let's say it's a nearby city. For example, let's say Mysore. Okay, and then you take a car from from Bangalore to Mysore. You travel by car, okay, or you travel by bus, or you stay overnight in Bangalore and you travel the next day because it's late at night. I think they're going to be moving pods in the future. The pods which are automated, it's a self-driving cars. You land at the airport. These pods, which look like a room, it does not look like a car. Imagine a room on the wheels. And this wheels, the room on the wheels come to you, pick you up. It's got a nice bed in it. It's got a coffee machine. It's got an internet, a very high-speed internet. You get inside that, you punch your location that you have to go to Mysore. It takes you for next 3.5 hours while you're just being lazy in your bed in that pod. So I think almost half of the hotel industry is going to be disrupted if you have such moving pods coming on board. And then I think Hyperloop could be one big future for the world. I really think that instead of moving to magnetic levitated trains, our country should start looking at hyperloops. It's a great way to travel between two cities where there's a huge influx. Hyperloops will not work where there's a demand scarcity. It will probably only work wherever there's a huge influx, like Delhi, Bombay, or Chennai, Bangalore. So that they become the hub, and they can even replace the air travel time altogether, at least for those cities. So this is where my bets are on the travel space, at least.
Interesting. Very interesting. In fact, of course, we used to see this in movies, but I think very soon, I was watching
I think the time is not far off. Within this
5 years
decade,
maybe, the way things are.
honestly speaking, things look difficult till the time it happens.
Yeah.
And then it becomes obvious, right?
Yeah.
For example, take Uber, for example, right? Who would have thought that you would share a taxi with a stranger, right? Who would have thought that? But now it's so obvious that why did we not think about it earlier? Take Airbnb for that matter. Who would have thought that I would let strangers stay in my house? So all these things, they sound very difficult till the time it happens. But when it happens, it comes so obviously.
Correct. Correct. So my last question to you is that, Prashant, what is the best career advice that you have got from your seniors, from your parents? And what are the areas or skills that you would like young entrepreneurs, young emerging companies to invest their time in?
One of the sayings I think my father said while I was preparing for IIT, and I remember that those words of him very dearly. He said it in Hindi, but I translated loosely to English to say, for gold to shine, it must burn. So to be honest, there is no alternate to hard work
Correct.
in this world. There are no shortcuts, and if there are some shortcuts in life, you may be able to take one shortcut or two shortcut, but in fact, in the long run, it comes out very costly. Because if you get successful in one shortcut, you keep looking out for shortcuts and you try to avoid the road which is hard but is right way, and then you just get stuck in that loop to keep looking for shortcuts. So I think even if a shortcut is paying value, it's actually not going to pay in the long run. It's going to make things difficult for you. So I really, really believe that there is no alternative to hard work. And for gold to shine, it must burn. The other skill set which I really, really value if I'm hiring somebody or if I'm contemplating an acquisition and I'm trying to understand a founder, I look for curiosity. I think curiosity beats intelligence, skill, knowledge hands down. If you're curious enough, you will find the reasons to do things. If you will find the answers, you will find the solutions. You will learn new problems if you're curious and then solve them. So I extremely believe in curiosity, and that is one skill which, to be honest, I want my children to have. And then if I am successful to make them curious enough in life, I think half of the job is already done.
Right. Correct. Yeah, for everything else, you have Google. So if you're curious, you have Google.
Absolutely.
But thanks, Prashant. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks so much for sharing the experience of EaseMyTrip and how you, in a very simple manner, told that, word of mouth is what made the company. It was not extravagant marketing cost, focused approach towards serving the customer. And how one should be, careful while they're spending money. Of course, raising money is not bad, but then one has to be conscious that why are they spending, what are they spending, and the cost of experimentation in today's world is extremely expensive. So one has to be careful in terms of time spent and not the currency spent all the time. Thanks, Prashant.